Where doubt comes from. There is an entire system of thinking that the mainstream media is part of. We were taught as children to believe authorities, for example, so there are many people who are not able to think for themselves. This is where doubt comes from, wanting to believe authorities versus wanting to think for yourself. The MSM is part of a system of thinking. We've been taught to believe authorities, and doubt comes from wanting to strike out and believe yourself instead of authority. That's their advantage. They've trained our minds. Ivo, this is correct. It is not normal for a human being to experience doubt. We do not doubt ourselves. Me, how do you learn? Ivo, we learn through love, a totally different way than most on your planet are accustomed to. As for doubt, it is the feeling so many experience when they move away from the matrix narrative to begin to think for themselves. Will you make mistakes? Of course you will. But there is no shame in making mistakes, not as you have learned. If one shames you for making a mistake, they must believe you are perfect then. This is illogical. Yes, children are part of perfection, the perfection of all that is, of creation. However, in learning your earth system they will make mistakes. These mistakes are the resistance of their soul attempting to stop them from buying into the false narrative the parents are attempting to teach them. What the parent teaches the child will seem illogical to the child because of the disparity in frequency. Me, yes, I was extremely confused. My parents seemed to think it was a cinch, but I frustrated them because I was a slow learner and kept bawling all the time because I resisted what they taught me. When I was a teenager I was seething in anger. I became very sarcastic and gave them a lot of grief. I fought with them until I was 40, constantly, because they continued to try to indoctrinate me into their false way of thinking. So when I was in my 40s, I walked away, never to see my father again. Some of us will give up a lot for peace of mind and to live in our truth. I know what they taught me got me into recovery for many addictions, so I knew they taught me a way of living that would either cost me my life or my sanity. So I figured it was them or me, and I chose myself for a change. One of the last conversations I'd had with my father was over the book, Bringers of the Dawn, and he asked if he could read the book. Why else would I have that book other than because it pertained to me? He at least knew at that time who I was and why I was born and maybe why I had to do things my way. Ivo, recently, it was reported that many children do not see life as being logical. This is due to the higher levels of consciousness being born onto your planet now. This is refreshing. These children are being primed to walk away from the system and to create a system that makes sense to them, and as the level of frequency on your planet continuously rises, new changes will be made to reflect the higher level of consciousness in the collective. Amen to that. It is difficult for any being to live within a system that makes no sense to them. Of course you will err. Of course you will doubt yourself. I say to you that your low self-esteem comes from believing in these false tenets, not your soul. Children, before the age of 7, are already acclimatized to the matrix and are moving away from soul, or such has been the case until now. This is a tragedy. Doubt is created in the mind of the child when their inner voice says one thing and their outer experiences and teaching indicate another. In the same vein, as one matures and begins to move away from the matrix, doubt is again created in accessing the soul's words. Sheran has helped people to stop doubting themselves. It is important that they do so. We insist people stop listening to convenient experts who are paid shills, put in place to continuously preach the mainstream narrative to you and to keep you from accessing your soul. The soul is wise. It knows your truth and it has a plan that you must follow throughout your lifetime on earth. When you are at odds with the soul's voice, it is because the matrix teachings you have learned are interfering with your soul connection. In times when you are in pain, you are facing away from soul and allowing the matrix narrative to lead you astray. Learning to listen to soul, and to follow its wisdom is often difficult as these are new messages that may not make sense to you. You will doubt. You will doubt your soul and you will doubt the part of you you mistake for yourself. Getting clear is the best advice. Sitting with it until the path becomes clear, asking your soul for help while continuing to ignore the mainstream narrative, is the way to go. Soul is peaceful. Soul takes time. Avoid knee-jerk reactions because this is ego intervention. Think about how you wish to react. Take time. If you do not know, say so and say you will respond later. Do nothing and reconnect with soul through meditation. Higher guidance comes into the peaceful mind, not the mind of turmoil and chaos. Calm your mind and listen for guidance. Learning to validate the self is important in this world today where everyone wants to tell you how to think and act. It is tantamount to being authentic. Sheran has advised many people to err on the side of validation. Instead of instantaneously believing your experience to be false, instantly believe it to be true, even if you are not sure. This way you will attract more experiences to you that are true. When you continue to say this is false, you will not magnetize true experiences. You will magnetize nothing as falseness does not exist. When you continue to validate yourself as true, you will magnetize more real experiences to you because you believe this to be possible. And it most definitely is. I keep saying that doubt is the dark one's playground. Never doubt yourself. Choose one thing or another, but don't sit in doubt because that's where they've got you. Ivo, this is true. If you believe you have seen a reptilian in your mind's eye, validate that. If you believe you may have seen a UFO, then validate that as real. If you believe you have experienced a timeline jump, then validate that because in future you will experience more timeline jumps and be conscious of it. What you focus on grows. You know these things exist as we speak of them all the time. They are real. And you will experience more of this reality when you validate your experiences as being real. I'll play devil's advocate here. What if someone validates something that is false as being true? Ivo, it does not matter because you are indicating that you wish to experience this and so it will be put into motion that you will. Sometimes hurdles must be overcome for circumstances to be perfect to do so, but in fact you will get your wish. Wishing to experience the truth is the highest request that can be made. What if someone has listened to a psyop and believed their lies to be true? Then what? Ivo, the soul will provide evidence to the contrary. It is a question of being open to the idea that you were in fact tricked. It is a question of believing that you can be wrong. Your egos do not like the idea of being wrong, and you must be humble enough to overcome this. There is much trickery around, as you know, many are out to deceive, as this is a consciousness war between the truth and deceit, and you must be open enough to correct any mistakes you have made. When you refuse to believe you made a mistake, you remain unteachable. There is no shame in error. If you feel shame, this must be dealt with. This will often harken back to the days when your caregivers overran your soul with their own limited teachings and taught you to be someone you were not. Yes, sad. But we all underwent that. Ivo, and it must be undone. Your soul is always moving you ever closer to the truth. This means distilling your personality to eliminate the flaws that keep you believing the lies. This is a reversal of what you learned as a child. If in fact you are prone to be a liar, then you will fall for lies. If you tend to be as truthful as possible, you will be of higher frequency and will gravitate towards more truth. It is frequency related. Thank you, Ivo. Ivo, my love, the light worker has work on their hands, but it can be done. It is a question of being willing to change oneself.